Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to this Let's Do Lunch. Today we're speaking with Lindsay Dent. She is the founder of Pink Crown Creative, a digital marketing agency. She is a podcast host, a mentor, and I'm sure much more. And we're talking about how to market your lead magnets. Welcome, Lindsay. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be here. It's been a while actually since I've presented. I went from pre-COVID being at events talking every week to not doing it as much. So bear with me. I definitely am a little bit rusty, but I'm really excited to speak with all of you. So I'm just going to quickly share my screen. Yep, that's the guy I want. Okay, and just one moment. All right, so today is all about lead magnets. So the first thing, So as Meredith mentioned, I'm Lindsay. So my company, Pink Crown Creative, I specifically work with entrepreneurs and small business owners with marketing help, web design, social media strategy, and a few other things in between. She also mentioned I'm a podcast host. So I launched my podcast in January and I interview women in the workplace. I have had incredible feedback with that. I've been able to shine a spotlight on incredible women in business, local businesses, especially during this year in the pandemic. Having that extra platform to shine a spotlight on what everyone's doing, what they're up to, and just give that extra promotion has been something that I've been extremely passionate about. So the first question I have for everyone before we get started, and before I kind of go into what lead magnets are, if you don't know what they are, in the chat box, if you can let me know if you've ever created a lead magnet before, if you've ever opted into any lead magnets, and if you have, what have those been? And bonus question, has anyone ever opted into something that I have created? So I'm just going to open the chat box here. Okay, awesome. So yeah, we have, yes, people have created them. They've opted in. Some other people, they're just not sure yet. So that's completely fine. I'm hoping with this presentation, again, I can give you a little bit more insight into how to do that if it's something you're looking to do, and other ways that if you already have your lead magnets, how you can continue to market them. So, oops, how do I get back? So what are lead magnets? So again, they're an opt-in essentially. They are a free offer to give to your audience that will lead them into a funnel where you eventually will promote something that's paid. So this is usually an incentive for your customers to retrieve their information, like their email address, their phone number, their name. You can really get deep if you wanted to get more stats, just really depending on what your goals are and what you're looking to do. They're definitely crucial for any online business, especially right now because everything is digital. It's a great way to grab their attention of the reader. It's intriguing, and it's something that makes them want to opt in. It feels like they're missing out if they don't get this piece of information. So something that's of course going to be of value. And it's a great way to nurture people. So again, this year, people are really putting a hold on their budgets. They're really being strategic on what they're spending their money on. So it's a really great way before people are buying from you and giving a part of their budget. If they get something that's more of a free offering, something that's of value, the more they get from that, the more they're going to see that you're an industry expert. They're going to see that brand trust from you and that brand expertise that eventually through that funnel, they're going to feel confident to sell or to buy from you. So why should you have lead magnets? You should have them. As I mentioned previously, you know, they're engaging, they generate quality leads. I'm not sure about you, but sometimes I get tons of spam bots, whether it's in my inbox, on my website. It's really hard to filter through that. So sometimes when you have something that's extremely targeted, you're going to get those quality leads, and you're going to know that those are your exact customer. Those are the exact people that you're looking to sell to, and who also would be interested in what you're promoting or selling. So they provide value. There's something that's shareable. So something that if you promote it on social media, you know, someone could create an Instagram story where they talk about how valuable this lead magnet was for them. They're sharing it with their audience, and in turn, they're going to get people who are going to try and find you, going to try and find how they can also get that invaluable information from you as well. And as mentioned previously, they also set you apart, and there's a way that they set you as an authority in your industry. So an industry leader, you're a thought leader, you have the skills and knowledge, and people again are going to come around and trust you because of that. So what would qualify a good lead magnet? So there's many different things out there, but sometimes people create just to create, but again, you want to be really strategic. So some of these qualities are going to be something that you want to do when you're thinking about lead magnets. So the lead magnet, it should deliver value before asking money. It should be available only in exchange for a visitor's email address or information or any other data you want to collect. So again, you're doing some sort of exchange. You're not just giving it away for free. As many of you know who have created lead magnets before, it is a lot of time and energy that puts into it. And sometimes people think the thought of it being free is really scary. I mean, again, it's your time, your money, your skills are very valuable. So getting something in exchange where you can add them to your newsletter list, you can DM them, you can call them, you can invite them to an event, just having their information. So again, you can have them in your lead cycle and your sales funnel. It's something that your consumer it's something that your visitor can consume immediately after the transaction. So a really great way to do something like this is to set up a landing page. For example, if it was going to be on your website where you're collecting their email address, and as soon as they enter their information, they're getting something right away. So sometimes, depending on how you have it set up, people don't have the means to set it up to have it to be automatic, even though it is something that you can do. But I would highly recommend having just something so someone knows that their email address didn't just go out to space and they'll never see that again. So what I would recommend is if someone were to give their email information, they get something from you right away that says, hi, like I acknowledge you, you should receive this from me within, 30 minutes, 48 hours, a week, just so, again, they know that they're going to be receiving something. You also have the opportunity to have that lead magnet go directly to them. And again, that's something that you can automate and you can have that happens right away. And was there questions? Let me just double check. Oh, okay. Yes. Power of immediate win. Absolutely. Okay, perfect. Whoops. And so another thing that I want to continue to highlight is this gift that you're giving. Again, even though sometimes it's free, it's something that helps them lead to additional benefits from you. And it's something that's going to set you apart from why they're going to choose your brand or company or service or product over another one, because they feel like they've gotten this incentive, this gift, this thing that sets them apart from any other brand. So before you even start to do it, you need to think, why am I doing this? What is the purpose of it? So 3 things that you should be asking yourself is, what are your goals? What are you looking to accomplish with this lead magnet? Again, it's your time, your energy, your skills, your resources. Why? What are your goals? Who's your target audience? So when you're creating it, you should have your ideal client in mind of, if they're going to read it, what is it exactly? Who is it for? You should be thinking about who your ideal client is. And the third thing is, what is the problem or pain point that you're looking to solve? What is your audience struggling with? What questions are people coming to you for? Is there something that's trending in your DMs of people reaching out to you? Just kind of be mindful of what's going on in your community and your audience, and what's happening with either your company, your service, your store, whatever your business looks like. What are the problems that you can be solving with this lead magnet? So some other questions you can ask while you're creating this is, what will they be able to accomplish after they opt into this lead magnet? How will it make their lives easier, better, more fun? What is it that this lead magnet is going to do? What are they going to walk away from and feel, oh my gosh, this was amazing because of blank? What is that feeling that they're going to get out of it? And the third one, and of course the most important one, is, because we're all business owners and at the end of the day we want to make money, what is this lead magnet going to be relevant to making that choice for them to eventually become your customer or your client? How is it going to transition from them getting this freebie or lead magnet that maybe they pay a small amount for, to them actually spending decent amount of money with you and choosing you over a different brand? So when you're designing your lead magnet, it should be three things. It should be very simple to understand, because if you're putting it out there, you have to make sure that it's not too technical. If you do have jargon, make sure that you have a definition of what that jargon is in there, and just have it as simple as possible. So if anyone around the world who had never heard of these certain terms or products or whatever it was, they're able to completely understand it. That it's well designed. So we're really lucky in this day and age that there's a lot of really amazing resources out there that are cost effective, if not free, to help you design them. You can also, of course, hire a professional person like a graphic designer or a content creator who can make it on brand for you and have a beautiful design. But again, there are other budget conscious options out there for you too. And the third thing is that it's easily consumable. So there definitely are different lead magnets out there where you could have a one pager or a sentence, or you can have something that's 100 pages long. So again, it really depends exactly what that lead magnet is going to be. Is it going to be a quick snippet of 30 seconds? Is it going to be an hour-long video? Just trying to figure that out, and also trying to figure out what that value would be. Of course, there could be something where you put a smaller amount on something that is a larger, something that's consumable, but just making sure that, again, it's easy for people to consume. We all know our attention spans are crazy. Everything is, if we're not interested, we're swiping really quickly, we're deleting, we're not reading a whole email, we're not watching a whole video. So just being really mindful of that, trying to figure out what the most important things are and really focusing on that, as opposed to blabbing on for hours on end, writing large sentences, that sort of thing. So I have a few ideas and examples. I'm not really going to go through a lot of them. I'm just going to show you some quick examples. Does anyone have any questions at this point in time before I continue to move on? No. Okay. Oh, sorry. The next one I wanted to say was, so you have your lead magnet all built out, and you're ready to market it. How do you do that? So before you try and promote it, before you try and market it, these are some of the questions that you should be asking yourself to make sure that it's complete before you start the promotion process. You start to put it out there. So have you just defined the purpose? Have you defined the goals? Have you defined your target audience and what they're struggling with? Have you defined what it's going to be? Is it going to be a workbook, a checklist, a podcast, an email course? What's the value at the end? What is the end user going to get out of it by opting in? What are they going to get out of that? Have you designed the lead magnet? Have you created the landing page for them to opt in? And have you tested it? So testing, of course, is very important as well. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I get completely lost in my business and my designs, and I just can't think about testing it out. I think it looks good. I'm ready to go. I'm so excited. I've spent hours and months and et cetera working on something. I'm just ready to push it out. But I highly recommend testing. If you don't have a team around you, I recommend sending it to family members, to friends, just someone who can add their email address in, let you know any glitches, any kinks that are going on, whether they're getting the lead magnet, whether they're getting an email return from that. It would be such a shame if you put all this time and effort into something and then it just didn't work, or you had a broken link, or no one was getting the lead magnets. That's going to be the first experience with your potential customers or clients where they're going to say, oh, this was a bad experience. They're not professional. I'm kind of over it. I'm going to move on, etc.
I'm so guilty of that. The last two. So creating a landing page, it's like all of the forethought that goes into creating a lead magnet. I take my time and I spend so much time on that. Then when it comes to the landing page, I'm like, oh, they're just going to put their email in, and I do the super simple landing page and just like good enough. And then by the time we get to the testing, like I'm exhausted and I'm done with it. So I love the idea of having somebody else, a good friend, or maybe an intern, like that can be a lovely intern's project.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, I've had so many lessons of that, of not testing, even, spell checking and, making sure that everything looks great, etc. It's just that small thing that you might lose people that you don't even know that you could have had their attention or their time. So definitely recommend taking the time to do that. Before I continue, do we have any questions about that?
I don't have questions, but I think this would be a great time to talk about some of the secrets maybe of that kind of thing. So like what I discovered was my email provider, like my email software, offers templates for the landing pages. And I just never used it because I was always rushing it. And they have this really great template that you just, it asks you questions and I provide the answers. So it says like, pick a good image that would like appeal to your audience. And I throw that image in, and then it says, write one line that explains some like your business one-liner, and then add a testimonial. Like it just asks me for all these things. And when then it comes out with this like longer form lead page. So it's more of a sales landing page, even though it's a free opt-in. So I think that that's a great tip, but to always look and see if you like, MailChimp I know does landing pages. I don't know if they have like the templates for it. I use something else.
Yeah, that's incredible. The prompts are really important too, because sometimes you don't know what should be on there and you kind of forget. So again, I also recommend checking out your favorite brands. What are they doing? What is the messaging that they have? Looking back onto why you've opted into something before. Was it something that really intrigued you? What did the messaging sound like? Did it feel like you were going to get FOMO if you weren't a part of this program or whatever it was? I mean, for me, it's reading the language and it's the messaging of, oh, this sounds like me. Oh, that's a problem I deal with. Oh my God. Like, it's just that kind of flow. So again, just making sure you're addressing those things, that for sure is something that I think should help you, and having something that gives you that guideline of making sure, especially this checklist here, making sure you're hitting all those things. It should also be something that you're looking at this checklist when you're making that opt-in page of like, am I hitting all these goals? Is there going to be any question marks if people were to look at this page? Are they fully going to understand what I'm offering them? What is the mail provider that you use?
I use Entreport. So it does my email marketing, it does landing pages, and it provides some CRM.
Okay, great. Does anyone else have any recommendations or tips or secrets that they've used to promote their lead magnets? Okay, that's all good. So I have 7 different ways of how you can drive traffic to your lead magnets. As I was going through this, I was very thankful that I've taken the time to create these things, but there's a few that I really would like to continue to enhance and really take advantage of. I'm sure a lot of you guys feel this year was a really great time to audit your business, audit your website, audit your processes. So I would recommend, checking out things that you're doing on your website or social media that can really kind of give you a different spin on how to market your lead magnets. So the first one is an entrance pop-up. So on my website, this is a little bit delayed depending on what page you're on, but it's a pop-up that lets people know that if they sign up for my newsletter list, they're going to get marketing and business tips. They're going to be the first to be updated on events and posts and anything else around marketing and business. So this is something that directly pops up on my website. So this is a great way, again, to capture their attention right off the bat. Again, I would really figure out what your brand or business is and figure out what appropriate page this should be on and how delayed it should be. Because if you notice yourself when you're on a website and a pop-up comes up too quickly, it might annoy people. So I highly recommend testing, again, figure out what it is that's going to make people finally sign up for this. So is it after they're on my website a few minutes? Is it a certain page that I feel this would directly relate to? So again, trying to figure out what that would be and making sure it's appropriate, because you do not want to annoy people right off the bat. You want them to stick around. You want them to read more. You want them to be intrigued. And when this pops up, you want it to be the perfect time where they're like, oh, perfect, I want more. Great, I'm going to sign up. So the second one is a website banner. So I don't have this on my website, and I was trying to find a few really good examples to show you guys. But I couldn't find ones that had intrigued me from previous times. But these would be examples of on your website, up at the top, it would be sort of a banner, and it would be something that is clickable. So it would say, sign up for my webinar, download my latest podcast, new video launch, free template for lead magnets. It would be something that is clickable, it's intriguing, it's going to be on every single page. And so as people are on there, they're going to find this banner that's going to be there and going to intrigue them to click on that. So the next one is social media. So I'm sure, as many of you know, in your social media accounts, you have a link. And you can be very strategic with this link. You can also be very strategic with what you are writing in your profile description to lead people to that link. So for my business accounts, I tend to change these up quite a bit depending on what it is I'm trying to lead people to. So for example, on my Pink Crown Creative account, I have a direct link to business resources. So if people were to click on here, there's many different things that they could download my lead magnets, ebooks that I've created, workbooks that I've created. There's also other things on there that might continue to lead them down the sales funnel or intrigue them to learn more about my brand and how we can work together. But right off the bat, a business owner in my mind is going to look in this and be like, oh, I'd love to know about business resources. Let's see what's there. And then for my podcast account, I have a link to listen, to review, and to share. So if they're going to click on the link here, they're going to find the episodes, they're going to find the videos, they can have the opportunity to review it, or they can share it with their audience as well. So there's many ways, of course, that you can do this on social media, not just on Instagram and not through your profile. If you have a Facebook business page, in Facebook groups is really incredible. I definitely take advantage of Hervana's group to share any links, anything I have going on. Twitter is also amazing, depending on what exactly who your audience is, who you're trying to target. Of course, stories and live is really great on Instagram. If you're lucky enough to have over 10,000 followers and have that swipe up link, that's an incredible lead magnet to have. Pinterest is really, really great too. I'm going to be speaking about that in a few slides, but Pinterest is really great if you have a webinar, a video, an event coming up. It's a really amazing lead generating tool that has blown up in the last few years for businesses. And if you're not on Pinterest, I highly recommend doing that. The numbers that I've been seeing on there has just been absolutely incredible. And the budget compared to Facebook advertising for me personally has been something that I can actually put money towards.
And if you need a quick intro to Pinterest, our last workshop was on Pinterest. So you can go into your member portal and go and watch that video, and it gives you a rundown of how to get started on Pinterest.
Amazing.
That's Lindsay, awesome. I was wondering if I could ask a question.
Sure.
I really like the way in your social media profiles you've written business resources, you point down, and then that you explain what they're going to get when they click that link in bio. So for the podcast, it says listen, review, and share. So they know what they're going to be able to do. But what I wanted to ask about was, so you use Linktree in both of those. I used to use Linktree, and then I, for a very brief period of time, switched over to the link.in bio. I think it's later provides that one, where it's visually, your link in bio is a visual, like it looks like a feed, it's a grid, and you choose the photos.
Yep.
And now I use my own landing page. And I think that there's some pros to each of those and cons to each of those. And I thought maybe we could talk just really briefly. I don't know if do we have time to talk briefly about that?
Yeah, for sure. I don't know what the timing's like, but I'm completely fine to do that. So I definitely think it would be brand or service business specific. I know that I've had a better buyer experience, user experience. When I'm thinking about images right off the bat, for retail, for sure, that would make complete sense to do that. If I had something visual like an ebook or a checklist, that visually would be really appealing as well. I think it just really depends on what exactly you would be using the images for. And if it was brand appropriate, it looked great, etc. Because sometimes just to have pictures, just to have them, and they're not high quality, they don't represent your service or brand. That doesn't make sense. The other thing I find too with my Linktree, and I'm sure others can relate, is sometimes people get lost in the choices. And so having something that's extremely specific, you're changing it up all the time, is a great strategy. It's definitely something that I would love to get more specific and strategic on. But I've just gotten to the point where I have too many things going on and I can't help but not have them up there or I have a fear of people not finding them. So it's one of those things of like, you need to be strategic on what are the exact things you want to promote. And it's a really good idea to have certain times of the month where you're going to only promote those things and only give away those things and then change it up. If you have that fear of people getting lost in the link tree and the options and etc.
Yeah, I had a very similar, so with when I switched to the link in bio, the later's version of the link in bio, that is a visual representation, I found my leads dropped off dramatically because I got caught up in the thought that, if it's the image is the picture of the post. So if I have the post and it says to get this, go to the link in bio, and I thought it would be a quicker connection for them. So if they go to link in bio, then they would remember the photo. But people forgot the photo and then they were just lost. They didn't know which picture led to what. So it really didn't work with my business.
Right.
And then so Linktree was the better choice there. And then I went to a landing page so I could be do a little bit more customization on what my Linktree looked like.
Yep.
But I do find that it loads a lot slower. And I don't know if that's the way that my landing page is built, or if that's like all around, just like Instagram doesn't like going to an outside page, perhaps. I'm not sure, but that was my experience.
Well, yeah, it's really good to know that, especially for people to forget. I know as soon as you mentioned that, it made me think, one that I constantly have that experience with is, I'm not sure if any of you follow like Daily Hive or Narcity Canada. When they have posts and I want to read more, I'll click on it, and sometimes the post that I found is so far down that it's missing, and I just wanted to read that article or whatever it was. And so yeah, I think unless you actually have like the text in there of what it is, and people can find it. But if it's just an image, your brain just gets lost in all of the photos and everything. So yeah, I think that's a really good observation. And again, I think it's very specific on what your business is. And again, I think retail, it works perfectly because you see the image, you're like, yep, that's exactly what I want. Yeah. All right. Oops. So the next one is email signature. So adding an email link or adding your lead magnet to your email signature is a really great way to subtly introduce your lead magnet to every business conversation you're having. It's a great way to drive traffic to your lead magnet, but it's also something that's really easy to implement. Depending on the person you're talking to, after a few back and forths, someone is going to maybe be intrigued and be like, what is this? I wonder what's here. And so Meredith, I know that you do a really great job with that. I've seen a few times in your email signature, you have a few prompts, a few different links, and I've seen it done really creatively as well, where if someone has an event coming up, they have that promotion. If they have, a free piece of content, ebook, course, etc., they have that in there too. So I think that's a really great, very strategic, easy way to promote that as well. And so the next one, as I mentioned previously, is paid advertising. This one is an example of Pinterest and how I found it helped for me. I mean, right off the bat, I spent for this one $7 and I got over 6,000 impressions. Got clicks, saves, people are going there, they're consuming this podcast guide that I created, and it was only $7. I mean, for me, that is high quality leads. For Facebook, I've had the opposite experience where they're wanting you to spend 150 plus, and I personally just haven't had luck on Facebook for my brand for that. But for Pinterest, it's a wonderful, wonderful way to market your lead magnets. Again, if you have an image that's eye-catching, it's very simple. It's letting you know exactly what it is. People click on it. As soon as they click on this, it's going to go to a landing page where they're going to put their email in, and it's going to automatically give them the podcast guide. And so there's many different other opportunities or other alternatives to Pinterest. As I mentioned, Facebook, depending on what your business is and what your goals are, it might be an amazing lead source for you. Instagram, of course, is a wonderful lead source. I know whenever I've promoted events, it's been really amazing to really pinpoint the people that would be my ideal clients. There's also YouTube that you can use. There's also many other examples that you can do paid advertising through that. And the next one is podcast interviews and guest posts. So for example, as I mentioned previously, I have a podcast, and the majority of the time when I'm interviewing someone, they discuss their brand, something that's coming up. As I mentioned previously to anyone who was on this call, I'm working with someone who has an event coming up in a few weeks, and we have banded together to create an interview where we're going to talk about that topic. We're going to promote the event, and all of those things are going to result into people hopefully attending the event, wanting to learn more, contacting this person. I've had many guests on my podcast that have continued to collaborate with other guests who have collaborated with my audience. To me, that's a really, really cool thing that I see people working together after I've interviewed them. And so for people who have had that opportunity, it's a really great way for them to get leads. They're being in front of my audience. They are speaking to people that might not necessarily have ever heard of them before. So that for sure is a really great way. Also, guest posts is really great. For me, I've been really lucky to collaborate with many local businesses where I've had the opportunity to share a little bit more of my knowledge or skill set. Most of the time I'll have an offer at the end of the blog post where it's either redirecting them to something I'm giving away, or a free consultation with me, or it's linking them to another blog post. But there's always something that people are going to be consuming. And for me, again, it's a really great opportunity that I'm getting in front of their readers, their audience. And it's something that's very effective to get new leads and get in front of new people. And the last one is word of mouth. So, I mean, word of mouth has been very strategic and very incredible for myself and my brand success. The people who refer business to me, the people who tag me in something or have promoted work that I've done with them has been really a great way for me to continue to get leads and for me to continue to share different things. So I would say it's the best way for you to also grow your business, getting in front of people that you can talk about your lead magnets, that you can refer people your way. It's kind of like having a mini marketing team of people promoting your business and in turn, helping promote what you're trying to accomplish through your lead magnets and what you've created as well. And so that basically is it. I do have time for some questions, but before we get to that, I just wanted to let you guys know that, of course, I have a freebie to give you. I have been working on a lead magnet workbook, which will be a guide that will define, create, design, and set up and promote your lead magnets. So I'm going to put this link, I'm going to put this link in the chat. And if you're interested, I will send you that free workbook. Let's see how I can get to that chat. I don't know how to get to it.
You might have to exit out of full screen in order to find the,
got it. All right, so I will add that there. And so does anyone have any questions or any thoughts or anything that they wanted to share about their experience with lead magnets?
I just had a question, and I unfortunately had to hop off right in the middle for a call, but
Oh, that's okay.
so I might have missed it. But as far as like lead magnets go for more like B2B businesses, like I've myself have downloaded lots of lead magnets that are, geared towards entrepreneurs or being able to do something yourself. And like I've got a few of yours as well. But like most of my clients or the people that I enjoy working with are bigger businesses. And I feel like there's a lot less that they're not going to necessarily click and download a free guide to do something. So I'm just wondering if you had any thoughts on like what could be maybe not like a guide, or like I don't know if there's a different type of lead magnet or something that you think would be interesting to try or kind of work with. I know most companies aren't really going to do anything with those, but yeah, just thought I'd ask.
So the first thing I thought about was when I used to work for a larger IT company, and the type of content that my boss would send out to me and would be interested in and would consume and would read. And a lot of it were larger studies, larger things that they could use to make their business better or more strategic, or it could make their buying process they could it's an easier decision for them to work with you. So for example, if you had them on your newsletter list and you constantly are sending out things that are of value to them, if it's something like these are 3 books that you should be reading, or these are podcasts that I really love, and they're just little tidbits of really important information. I'm just trying to think of a creative way that you could do that if it wasn't a newsletter list. But I know for me, it was like larger things of like a survey, for people to get information on stats and something that's tangible for them to use or to make their buying decision easier. That to me was something that I used to see in the industry I worked in, is we would download, these massive surveys, and those surveys would help us with our job. Or if it was like an industry, I can't think of what the word is, but something that kind of relates to an industry. One thing I've seen recently that I think will help bigger businesses is there's a company that put out facts about female business owners and all of the stats of what they're doing. Like, I think things that they've done through COVID. And so stuff like that would be helpful for bigger brands. I know it's a little bit generic in general sometimes, but something like that's like that might help them, I think. I might need to think about it for you to be a little bit more specific on that.
Yeah, I know. And it's a little weird because like I'm a graphic designer, so it's going from like a creative service-based business to businesses that aren't creative at all, because that's normally why they're hiring me to do anything.
Exactly.
Yeah. So just like, I thought I'd ask. I like the idea of information or having something there, because I noticed that I do tend to do a lot of, I guess, explaining and teaching on like why design is important or like what it can help you do. So exactly. Something I'd look into for maybe even not a lead magnet, but having somewhere that they would be a blog or anything like that that could have that kind of information stored so they know that.
A really good example is actually something one of my interns helped me create a few weeks ago. Was they created something that said, why should you hire a social media manager? And so again, it's something like that. If you had something like, why should you hire a graphic designer? And you sent that out to people, or they consume that, they would think like, oh, well, these are all of the benefits. I've never used a graphic designer before. Well, that completely makes sense of why I would spend my money on that.
Yeah. Like, I like that idea. So thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Something came up while you guys were talking, and I love that idea of like, why would you, because I know a little bit about Andrea's business. So like why you should add graphics to your white papers, I think would be a really good topic.
Yes.
And then something else, Andrea, that we talked about, you often talk about how your clients don't necessarily know what they need to give you. So making it easy to work with you, things like what you need to give your graphic designer to ensure like the best results kind of thing, like dims and bleed lines and whatever else it is, like that. It's just stuff like that that comes really second nature, I think, is something that would be a great read for people who are looking to hire a designer.
Yeah, no, that sounds great, because I think that makes more sense kind of for what I'm doing. Yeah, that's a good one, Meredith. Thanks.
Lindsay, there is a question in the chat. We have,
Yes.
how many lead magnets can you put on your website?
Oh, so I would say, I mean, you could truly put as many as possible, but I would put them in categories. Maybe if you had like 100 of them. There's a website that I absolutely love that I use for a lot of sales and business resources called HubSpot, and they have like 900, but they're categorized. And so if you didn't want to look through all 900 of them, you could look and be very strategic and say, you know, how to start a business, and just go to the business resources. And so for me, I would say, if you're looking to start doing it, you know, having one really high quality one to start off, see how it goes, test it out. If you have a few of them, I think it's great, because it continues to keep your audience engaged. It continues to keep people remembering about your specialty, about your services. I think you can never have enough, because you're constantly adding new skill sets, new things that you're teaching your audience, and it's a great way to nurture them. So again, if people are still in that buying funnel, they're not ready to buy from you yet, but they're still needing a little bit more help, chances are when they're finally ready to buy, they're going to come to you, because you've been giving them this beautiful gift of free content for, you know, a few weeks, a few months, a few years. You never know what that looks like. And I personally have seen that happen years after I've spoken with someone or gave them a content, an ebook, something. So highly recommend just continuing to create.
And how frequently should you be refreshing your lead magnets? So, you know, if we have several built up and there's one that you've like launched this week, and how long do you market that one before you kind of just put it in its category on the website and let it organically be found?
Gosh, that is hard. I would say, I mean, it's easy to say that you can create them like once a week, but it's such a hard process, because you want to make sure what you've already created and you've put your time and effort in is going to get the spotlight that it needs. It's going to get the airtime that it needs. It's going to get the leads coming in, etc. I, in a perfect world, would love to say that I would create a new one like every month, but it's just not something that you can do unless you are a superstar and can make it happen. But yeah, I would say if you could do it every few months would be a good idea, especially like for yourself, Meredith, you have different themes with your business. Every month, if you had a lead magnet that was specific to that every single month, I think that would work perfectly for you. So again, depending on what your business looks like and what makes sense. For example, I've created one on podcasts, how to create a podcast. If that was the only part of my business, I could just have that forever. I could update it, you know, as trends came, as new things came here and there. But it could be the only lead magnet I had, because it has everything. You know, I can add to it. I can keep adding pages or sections or etc. But I think it depends on exactly what you're doing. Yeah, what your goals are, again, who your audience is, what you want people to get out of it at the end of the day.
Okay, we have about 5 minutes left, I think, just under. So last chance for questions, and I'm gonna leave a tip, I guess. So I really dove into quizzes this year and was looking for how to deliver quizzes, and it's a rabbit hole. There's so many ways that you can incorporate a quiz onto your website or use a third-party service, and it essentially be a cloud service. So then you send people off your website to wherever your quiz is hosted. I did a ton of research. I also purchased the wrong product and had to return it. What I landed on was Thrive quizzes. So if that is in any way on anybody's mind, I recommend Thrive quizzes. It turned out it's a plugin for a WordPress website, and it has worked wonders for me. I do not promote it at all, and people love quizzes. They stumble on it through my website, and once it's built, it continues to just provide a few leads a week without me doing anything at all.
Amazing.
That's my tip.
Cool.
And last call for any questions for Lindsay.
If you have any questions after we speak, I'm more than happy for you to email me, DM me, whatever works for you. I know sometimes we get a little bit overwhelmed or not sure, or we leave a presentation and we have questions. I'm always open to share anything else. And if you want to speak more about this, especially after I send you the free workbook, I'm more than happy to discuss that with you.
Great. Thank you, Lindsay. And I see that you've got your links up on the screen. So if you want to follow Lindsay or get in touch with her, that is where you would do that. So Lindsay at pinkcrowncreative.com or at pinkcrowncreative, which I'm guessing is for both Facebook and Instagram. And then of course your website, pinkcrowncreative.com. And then if you're interested in hearing Lindsay as a podcast host, her podcast is Have You Met Her Yet? And I'm sure you can find that on all of the places. So iTunes, Spotify, Google, whatever their platform is. Oh, I just activated my phone. As it happens. Any last thoughts from you, Lindsay, that you want to share before we sign off?
I would say don't be afraid to start creating them. I know when I created my first lead magnet about 2.5 years ago, I was really, really nervous. I thought it had to be amazing and perfect. And I just kind of tested it out, and it shocked me how many leads I got right off the bat. I think if you're scared at that point, just test it out, try it out. Again, everything can be deleted if you hate it. If you want to continue to update it, you can always do that. If your brand changes, you could always do that. Just testing it out, throwing it out there. I just highly recommend doing that. Perfection for sure is not something that should stop you.
Great advice. And if you want a second set of eyes on anything you create, I highly encourage you to drop it into our Glow Getters Facebook group. It's private, it's only members, so you're not sharing it wide and far. It's all friendly faces getting an eye on it, and I'm sure that there will be somebody who is very willing to review and give you some feedback that is constructive. So that, I think, is it for us today. Thank you so much, Lindsay. I really appreciate it. I love how you broke down some great ideas for creating lead magnets and questions to ask yourselves while we're in that creation process, as well as where to market it. Very useful. Thank you again.
You're welcome.
And we'll see you at the next one then.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks so much, everyone.
Have a great afternoon, everyone.
Bye.